Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Hanin Ismail from Seattle. Welcome to today's sessions, Design Thinking for Educators. I want to welcome our presenter, Dr. Rania Sawalhi. Dr. Rania Sawalhi has a PhD Educational Leadership from University of Warwick and currently works at the Honor Program, Qatar University. Dr. Rania has won a number of awards, such as Sheikh Faisal bin Qasim Award for Educational Research 2019, and the International Congress for School Effectiveness and Improvement and the Journal of Professional Capital and Community 2020 Innovation Award, and has a number of research published in peer-reviewed journals. In addition, Dr. Rania launched the Educational Leadership Lab applying design thinking approach and launched Rushd Education Leadership Coaching e-platform. She is the co-founder of Women Admina. Welcome, Dr. Rania. I have a small note before we start. You can use the chat to comment or ask questions by sending chats to everyone or all attendees. And you can also raise your hand at the end of the session to participate. Thank you. And Dr. Rania, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Hanin. I'm very honored to be here with you today and sharing this overview about design thinking, part of Seattle Excellence Day, and with our lovely audience that I hope we will be sharing lots of ideas and expertise. And as you mentioned, Hanin, design thinking is part of Honor program that we will be implementing newly spring 2021. So stay tuned for our future activities, events to know more about our new study plan. Today, we will just give you a brief overview about design thinking for educators. How can we benefit and utilize this kind of experience? So we will start defining or trying to know design thinking. We will have a very quick look and going through the main steps of design thinking roadmap. And we will start thinking and sharing with you what are the next steps after this session, how we can utilize this information. So please have a pen, pencil, whatever close to you, and start taking notes, because really we want to share ideas and how we can utilize it. Before that, we will have a very quick question polling with you. Have you ever heard about design thinking before? You have the questions in front of you, so please just select yes or no. You have less than 1 minute. Have you ever heard, learned, read in any way about design thinking approach before? Please share your voice with us. And if you have any questions, please share it in the chat. Is it related to mind maps? We will see those comments after we go through the techniques. I will hear the answers from you all. Thanks for sharing. Okay. So let's see from our attendees, the courageous ones that have joined us today, talking about design thinking. What do you think, majority? New, or this is a totally new topic that we will be having today? So we have majority said no. This is the first time that they know about this topic. If you knew anything before, please share with us during the chat. If not, feel free to ask the questions either during the session. Perfect. And even within, at the end, you will have opportunity to ask your questions. So let's start with the history of design thinking. How did it start and from where did it come? When we go and start thinking about the idea of it, we will hear the name of David Kelley. And we will be surprised that it had been since 1978. He started what he called David Kelley design. And then early 90s, it was moved to, or he established IDEO. It's a very big organization that focuses on design thinking. And since then, we can hear many others, like Hasso-Plattner Institute, Stanford, lots of organizations. But people will start talking about design thinking, mainly would say that this is related to engineer, or this is related to industry, this is not for us, how can it be involved? So this session is mainly see how we all coming from different disciplines, we can utilize those concepts, and we can start modifying and see the future of our work, how it can be relevant and related to this one. David Kelly, when he started, he would just say, like, if we all remember the children, when we see any child, they will try to find ways to solve obstacles that they're facing. Either they will try themselves, they will start singing, dancing, trying to find any way to do what they are keen and hoping to do that. So David says that challenges need solutions, but we don't want any solution. We want the solution that would help people and would meet the need of those people, that focuses on this. So this comes the idea of design thinking. We're not talking about any idea that had been generated. We are talking mainly about human-centered. And more than that, the CEO of IDEO, when he comes to describe what is design thinking, he would describe it as an accelerated way of helping the innovation process. Not only to find solutions, no, it's to find more effective and better solutions. And we all know that everyone, each day, we face obstacles, either at home, in the way coming to the work, within our students, our colleagues. Every second, we might face something that we need to find a solution for. But they also emphasize that we wanted to be human-centered. We want to focus on empathy. We need to understand the pain, the need, the hope of those people, and not only talking about any kind of solution that we just want to generate it. Another way of trying to, and this is very important because everything that we will go through will rely on this. You will hear me a lot talking and repeating human-centered design. So everything that we're doing is focusing on people, with people. When we talk about this, is how we can design, how we can start thinking of meaningful solutions, either in our classrooms, our schools, colleges, in our communities. And if you go to IDEO website, you will have lots of ideas related to that. So why design thinking? Everyone in our daily life that we try to find solutions, and we might find it helpful for us. Yeah, but design thinking helps us to move from one side to another. It's like changing perspectives and changing techniques in our practices and even our mindset. Sometimes when we face a problem, we start talking. We spend hours, discussing and saying that this is not working, this is not fine with us, we're not happy about this and that. But we don't spend much listening how we can, change or transfer those information into insights, something that we can really focus on the solution or the idea that we want to change. This design thinking helps us to move from adapting. Yeah, that's fine, everything is fine, we just need to move on, we can't change anything. Yeah, just ignore, just do as they like, to start generating solutions and something very practical that everyone can do. And as I said before, it's moving us away from designing a solution for people. Sometimes when we sit in our desks or offices or meetings, talking about, new programs, syllabus, something that we want to focus on, we start thinking on behalf of the student or behalf of the community, and we think that we know. But design thinking helps us to start listening to them and engaging them to be part of designing the solution with people. So are we going to bring the students and sit with us in the meetings? Yeah, some organizations will do that. But if you're not willing to, at least you will see within the process of design thinking how we can hear their voices and how they can voice their experiences. And one of the main things that design thinking focus on is instead of focusing or looking for the right answer, yeah, how can we do this? How can we provide the students with an application? It's not about the application as much. Do we really need this application? Is this activity, is this program, is this method, is the right tool or the right solution for the thing that we're trying to focus on? So it's not only about looking to the answers, it's also about asking the right questions. And we all know that it starts from there, especially when we start designing our research, our activities. If we know exactly what we're talking about, it would help us and it will guide us through everything that we're doing. So we identified what design thinking. We have two things. It's accelerated process. It's not any kind of process. It doesn't go with like 1 year to solve one problem. No. Within the techniques that they have within design thinking and the tools that they apply, it helps us to have better, quicker, more feasible, and costly friendly solutions as much as we can within the steps that we'll be having and sharing with you today. So it's a learning by doing, it's activity. And sometimes when we go to those design thinking meetings, activities, classes, courses, you will be aware that sometimes we don't have chairs because we want people to be active, we want people to be engaged, we want them to start learning by doing. It's not coming there and sitting like this and saying, no, just tell me what to do. It's not. So we need to be co-creating. We need to be working together, listening, taking care of every detail that can help us to have a better solution. Once again, we focus on empathy. Applying design thinking would empower people. And I left empowering just open without any explanation because it will help us to raise the confidence back again that yes, we can create solutions. It's not only, the experts or big names or big companies that they are responsible for this because we are part of solving this. We are part of doing and practicing this. And remember each day that when you're going out to work, you're designing how you dress, how you work, the place that you are working. So let's have this confidence back again. Yes, we can work and we can solve it. And what's beautiful about it that we should and make sure that we connect various disciplines because it's not only one sector that will be dictating the decision. We need to have the voices from everyone that you're using and whoever is involved. So either if we're talking about designing a program in the university, we might hear the voices of the students, parents, investors, stakeholders, different representatives, and making sure that yes, we can hear them, and yes, they are involved in developing and generating the ideas. And you'll see within the process that we'll be describing in a moment that it moves us only from theoretical research, from only collecting data to more designing, testing, and more to have kind of a policy for the procedures and applications that we're having. And more, what's most interesting, that it turns challenges into opportunities. So you will start seeing everything that around you. It's a new opportunity that we can focus on. So we identified it, talking into about the importance of design thinking. Then you will start see that you will think like a designer. So I need to be proactive. I need to think of new ideas. I need to voice my experience because they will hear it and they will develop it. And you can notice that, especially when you go, for example, for a coffee shop and you want to buy your coffee, you will start telling them, no, I don't want this cup. This is too hot for us. We need to change it. And each time you go back, you will find them that they have customized. So yes, we are affecting their solutions or the decisions that they are making. It's also helping us to move away from having a fixed mindset to a growth one, because you will start thinking, yeah, it could be changed, it could be developed, we can find another way of doing it, which would help us to have a positive impact and influence in everyone, every aspect that we're sharing, by all means. And this is something I experienced, it's not a theoretical part. As I told you before, that when they're talking about industry, engineering, sometimes we start thinking, no, it's not related to education, but it is. because you'll find lots of case studies I will share with you at the end of the session. How is it related to education and how it's really implemented and inspiring, reimagining education in a way. But remember, you can see from all those questions that it starts, how can we do this? How can we redesign the classroom? How can we create? How can we provide, etc.? So instead of just saying that there's a problem with the classroom or there's a problem with the environment, no, we need to say exactly what's needed and to ask the right question, which comes from the process that we'll be describing. From everything that we'll be doing, beside having those kind of new opportunities and new solutions, we will learn more today about insights, and we will try to focus on communicating deeply and how really we can learn from every single detail that we might see from others they're doing and how we can turn it into a practical idea. There are different ways of thinking. I will share with you two ways of describing how design thinking process works. So the first one that they're having with us or sharing with you is starting with empathize. So I need to understand the audience. Who am I targeting with this? As I said, if we're talking about students, I'm talking about my department, my colleagues. If am I talking about a community activity or whatever, I need to understand exactly what do they need. And then I will go back to defining the challenge that I want to solve, what is need to be the solution driven or based on. And when we come to the ideas, we need to make sure that we have as much as ideas as we can. If you can go above 50, that would be super. And we all know the rules of brainstorming. No judging. We need to generate as much as we can. Even if we're going crazy, we're going beyond nature. Regardless, we need to come with very creative solutions. But design thinking goes beyond that. It asks us to go have kind of testing this idea. So we will see how it can be tested through prototype, visualizing the solution that you are talking and helping people to see it before you go and implement. Because sometimes, for example, when we start a registration program for the students or when we start a new course, after the beginning, we start discovering that there was, like things need to be fixed, but it will be too complicated to start fixing it while it's running. But in advance, it would help us and save time, effort, and morality, people's trust in everything that we're doing. Another way, if we're talking about those roadmaps, if we're talking about those 5 steps, remember them because we will go through them now quickly. We need to identify the challenge. We need to discover exactly what are their needs, then to explain it, to turn it into insights, generating ideas, and then testing. But remember, it's not a linear process at all. Because sometimes when we start interviewing people or observing their actions, we go back to redefine or re-identify the challenge. Or when we test it, we go back to generate, say, no, it was not the right solution. We need to go back and see what was if we have a better idea that could be implemented. People start saying the environment is not fine. Those tools are not effective with the students. Students are not learning within online learning. It's not effective. Instead of describing the problem, let's see how we can rephrase it to become, identify the challenge in a better way. How can we redesign the classroom? So we're not talking generally about environment. No, we're focusing about something that we need to. So is it the setting? Is it the furniture? Is it the building? Is it the tools that we're having? What exactly are we talking about? And we're focusing about the generation, the current generation students. We're not talking generally about anyone that is in the community. So the first step is identify The second one is discovering. So we said that we need to empathize, we need to understand, and we need to see it in a different way. So either by interviewing or by observing. And yes, this is part of problem solving techniques, but it goes beyond that. It's not only about, describing what's good and what's bad within the solutions. No, we will see the difference in a minute. So while we're talking about interviewing people, we don't just go. We sit as a team and we start identifying exactly who are we going to interview? Why are we doing this? So if we're talking about colleagues, are we going to interview our department only? Do we need to interview people from different sectors? What exactly are we talking about? So are we going to identify the ages? Similar to the qualitative research, but now we have the challenge that had been identified and what exactly the questions that we'll be having. And there are several tools about the journey of the people involved and the steps that could be implemented. As I told you at the beginning, usually we give this training within like 3 to 5 days, depending on the level of the practice and the audience that will be involved. And let's see this photo. When talking about interviewing or observing, and you can see that people had adapted to the problem that they're having. They started, labeling those kind of things and, finding a way to deal with it. Others would tell you, no, I will make it colorful. Others would give you better solutions and better ideas. Okay, how can I also observe our students? Sometimes during exams, I start thinking, why are our students using pencil instead of pen? And then they spend time to remove it, erase it, and then using pens again. Those kind of things could help us to generate more and more ideas, even dealing with small things, we think, but it would affect the whole practice and the whole process. So the first step, we try to identify the challenge. The second one, we try to discover the needs of those people. And we will hear lots of data talking about, stories, things that they were mentioning. Then we will sit and start turning those facts into insights. What they were telling us, what they were doing, how can we have conclusions or ideas from them? And I will give you an example because this is a very common one that you will hear almost in every single session related to design thinking. When Ford tried to ask people, Henry Ford, we all know cars, when he tried to ask people, what do you want? People started telling him that we want faster horses. But he didn't train the horses how to be faster. He invented the cars. So he transferred the words that they were saying, and he had future thinking of something that they never thought about. And that's something similar also to what Steve Jobs had done, because no one had ever asked Steve Jobs to have an iPhone or an iPod, but they transferred the need of the people into something else that could be customized and could be used easily within our day-to-day life. So we identified, we discovered, we explained, we generated lots of ideas, and then we selected one of two that we want to try. We don't just go and jump. No, we need to ask ourselves two questions. Where do I want to test it? And what exactly do I need to test? Because I don't need to test everything. So am I focusing on the processes? Am I focusing on the teaching methodology? Am I focusing on what? What do I need to test this model? And who will be part of this test? How am I going to receive feedback? And how am I going to utilize the information that I will be having? Design thinking, once again, focus. It's not only about testing verbally, you need to visualize it. It's not only about writing, yes, it's fine, give me feedback, smiley face. No, you need to visualize it. Either you can have a role model, you can a play, you can have a 3D printing, You can have a description like a story in any way, but it needs to be seen, because when you see it, you will notice the main things that you want to adapt and change and to be careful about. This is one of the examples of one of the sessions that we had. One of the teams in Doha Jam 2019, they wanted to have an application to help college students develop their skills and to select the main training programs that they want to register and to have, kind of follow up of their progress. When they started testing and visualizing the idea that they had, they noticed in one of the steps that they didn't have this kind of button that moves them from the application to the another, to the page to another. So one of them said, yeah, it's very hard for the user. It's not so friendly for them. So let's add it here. It would be more easier, and how it could go from one step to other, etc. The other one, they noticed that they wanted to have an application for special needs students. And when they started to design it to help them to communicate with their parents, they found that most of the design is relying on words, which they cannot read yet because they might be depending on the needs that they have or depending on the case, etc. So they started focusing on having photos, even within the test that they had. So it's not only about solving the problem. It's not only about selecting, yeah, this is a very good idea. No, it's about imagining the process. And even one of the books I read about educating refugees, I like the idea in one of the chapters that he started describing how we need to take care of their education since the moment that they leave their country till they leave the hosting one. Sometimes we just ignore. We just focus on the end result, which is not the case, because we have lots of emotions involved, we have lots of experiences involved, and we need to make sure that the need is met. So what are the next steps that we're suggesting to come up from this session after going through the definition and the roadmap of the stages or the process of design thinking? We highly encourage you to learn more about it and to see how you can utilize it within your teaching, within your research, community service, with your students, especially that. All of the honor program students that would be registered spring 2021 and onward will have the opportunity to start working, and you will see lots of activities that we will be encouraging others to know more about design thinking and how we can link it to the university and to our practices. Personally, I try to integrate this approach with my teaching and also within my research. So you will see this PDF or this photo is about a program. It's called الثروة الناعمة باللغة العربية in Arabic, which is developing women leadership skills. So first, we met the students that they will be implementing and using this program. We identified their needs using artificial intelligence within the analysis to see something that we couldn't even think about, and it came up with very brilliant and amazing insights for us. Then we started helping them, and we designed the process or the competencies to think like a designer, exactly like the steps that we had given you, but it's linked to their resources, to their communication, to their critical thinking, and we help them how exactly to start identifying their needs and starting from there. Because sometimes when we go to one-size-fits-all training, we go back home saying that, oh, it doesn't meet my context. Or we, even ourselves, when we change something in our practices, we think that we are not able to using it another time, which is scary, because we need to have the confidence that we have it, of the abilities and the skills that we can utilize and we can implement. Another thing that I also started implementing, it's called Education Leadership Lab, where people think that educational solutions should only be developed or designed by educationists, which is not the case. So in Education Leadership Labs, we identify the challenge, for example, about character building programs or about international or private schools, leading private schools in different contexts, etc. So we make sure that we have students, we have parents, we have investors, we have educators, we have researchers sitting on the same table and sharing ideas, because they need to hear the voices and the experiences that they're having and how they can find better solutions while they're testing. Within our sessions, you will find that we're using lots of sticky notes, because any idea that you think about, you need just to write it down and make sure that you don't lose it. And they were surprised, because in the Education Leadership Lab, we have this process within 4 hours. They thought that we were not trustworthy, because you will never be able to identify a challenge and find a solution within 4 hours. But that's the beauty of design thinking, because as we said in the beginning, it's an accelerated process. It's something that you will find if you use the right tools, that yes, we can help in identifying the right solution if we follow those steps exactly according to the time. So we really ask you to encourage others to utilize those techniques, to know more about them. As you had mentioned, it's not a mind map, it's more than that. It's just a mindset. It's a way how we think about those tools and about this process, and how we can utilize it in every single thing that we're doing, either in teaching, in research, or in community services that we're providing, or in any activity that we might be offering within university. And very important aspect, to start networking. We were very proud in the honor program that the way we designed the new study plan is focusing on learning communities. So those students will be having or studying those models together. And this is something also we can have. So starting from those sessions, we can identify, yes, I can start networking with colleagues from different colleges, from different departments, from even with students, just to share ideas and practices within that. If you need more resources, I highly recommend you to go to IDEO to see the case studies that they share. So you will see, for example, something related to higher education, rethinking college admission, yes, to that level. They start thinking of the process of people sitting back home and seeing how can they find the website, the information, how they can register, and all those kind of details. And they also have another one, which is helping students navigate college and beyond. You will find lots of case studies that's related either to your topic and more. And even if you're interested in reading more studies related to this one, these are very relevant. One is related to higher education or to schools, having those kind of methodologies, teaching strategies, how it can help our students, help us as teachers, instructors, to start building this and developing those kind of ideas into practical way that we all can utilize. And you'll find some people, they say that it's fine like any other problem solving technique. Yes, it's a point of view that we respect, but also everything that we utilize and we add our own signature, our own way, style of doing it, definitely would give it another flavor, and to start especially providing it the context in the Arab countries or within this part of the world. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it was give you a quick overview of this approach and how we can utilize it in a very practical way. As I told you, usually it takes longer time to go through each step. And within the way that we practice it, we don't go into the theoretical part as much as we help people to start working and practicing those steps and phases of design thinking. If you have any questions, queries that I didn't cover from the chat, or if you like to share your experiences, if you knew anything before, please feel free. And Haneen, you can also share the questions from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rania, for this interesting session. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Please, before you leave, please take a couple of minutes to give us your feedback by filling the survey link. The link of the survey was sent into the chat area. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm reading a few questions in the chat. Shall we start with them? Or does anyone like to open the mic and
Please, if anyone want to participate, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you.
Thank you very much for this lovely presentation. It's quite informative. I've got a very quick question, which I've put in the chat as well. I'd like to know how many or what type of events you have done within the University of Qatar or Qatar University in relation to design thinking. Have you done anything in particular as an example?
Thank you, Doctor, for attending. And we also would like to know more about the idea that you had shared within the chat. General, let's say there were a couple of events, kind of training for students, part of student activities, and kind of presentations with practitioners from Qatar, from the community here in Qatar. For the faculty members, unfortunately, I'm not aware of other departments or colleges if they had done something specific or research about it. But in the honor program, this is the first spring that we'll be offering it for the students. It's a 5-week module, part of 8 modules that we will be presenting for them, part of the honor program new study plan. And we're also going to have kind of general sessions for faculty members and for other students, just to spread and promote the idea and the culture of design thinking with different activities. Personally, also, I started part of Service Design Network, if you ever heard of that. We had Doha Jam. It's an activity over 2 days that participants can generate ideas and identify the challenge, find solutions within 48 hours. That was a challenge that 150 countries around the world had participated in that. I hope I answered.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's very, very useful. I mean, I don't really work with students. My main area of work is with staff, with academic staff, basically. But to give you an example of how we use the design thinking in teacher training and education is mainly one of the flagship ways of our training session, the Education Insights training, is we offer the approach of design thinking to module design. So we assemble people from a particular faculty, and we follow the steps you've mentioned, not in the exact letter of what you've done, but very similar in a way. It's I mean, some other institution have got different names for it, but in our case, we simply run those over like 2 or 3 sessions, so people can go away and come back. It's a little bit time consuming, but those people who immerse themselves into the experience, they find it quite useful. I did mention in the chat that possibly we could collaborate on this in some form or another in the future. I don't know how.
Yeah, definitely. I have different ideas, and definitely will have your email to contact you. I also participated with Hasso-Plattner Institute from Germany, and they have lots of implications here in the Middle East. So definitely we can discuss that, Doctor. Thank you much.
Yeah, what I found quite useful in these sessions is now a lot of our academic staff really involved in redesigning their online modules, and we have used the design thinking strategies to create CPD events, which invite people to really not only think of it as a problem, but to think of, okay, what exactly, who's my I'm creating a product here, so who's my target consumer, who is the stakeholder, and these kind of questions. And then, okay, let's go to the design. How exactly I'm going to design it? What kind of tools I'm going to need? And it's more of like a group activity. A number of colleagues are working on the same, each on their own module, but in the concept or the ideas are actually quite transferable between the participants. So yeah, at some point in the future we could probably look into this. Looking
Thank
forward
you
to
much
it.
for
Thank
sharing.
you
This
very
is
much.
really inspiring. Thank you much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the questions is from Dr. or Mr. Imad. Is there a limitation? Yes, definitely. Like any other approach, it's not. It had been implemented within the education sector very recently, but we have lots of ideas and examples, like Dr. Samir had also shared with us how it had been utilized in the last, like 2-3 years in a very quick pattern that's coming to this, because it's really helpful, especially in STEM education and within this kind of technologies. But for me and my colleagues, we're hoping that we also can bring it back more to social sciences, because this is not a common practice. One of the limitations is the language, because most of the resources are in English, but also we have one of the organizations in the Arab world is called SABR, and SABR had launched منصة الابتكار الاجتماعي, a social innovation hub, so that everyone can utilize from those resources in Arabic, and they have their franchise for that. So this is something that we also need to be aware. It's not only about having the idea, but it's also to making sure that we are aware of using the right tools in the right way. Because some people might start using a tool for 2 days. No, it's not the process. It should be accelerated. We should use it according to brain research and to specific timings to make the benefit out of it. Otherwise, it will be like any other problem-solving approach or tools. Any other questions? Okay. I hope that I covered all things. I'm not so sure if we still have time for the last polling to see if you have any ideas, if you want to implement this within research or within teaching more. Just to have your voices within this one. How do you see it? We can implement it within teaching or research or both. And then I will give you my answer. Yep, we're having the question. Do you think design thinking can be used within your teaching practices, within your research, or both of them? And if anyone would like to have or share experience, if you have any question or you want to share your experience, would be very grateful, please. Interesting. So majority had mentioned that they would like to use them in both. So we might have lots of sharing discussions and sharing projects about research. And the second answer was research, tiny about teaching. But from experience, yes, we can use them in all of them, and this is how I implement it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rania, again, and thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you.
Thank you for this great opportunity, Haneen, and thanks, everyone. And stay tuned for the other honor program activities. Thank you all.
Inshallah. Thank you.